What up, everybody? It's your boy Randomnews, and I want to welcome you to our new series, Random News Reports. Now, in this series, I'm going to be talking about mainstream media. I'm also going to talk about random information that I think you might find interesting. We'll cover a couple stories that I found interesting that I think you might like. This is just an all-around random reports. In today's report, we're going to look at a story that I saw like a year or so back, maybe two. But there was a mainstream media report on a cop getting into a high-speed chase with a criminal and then ended up getting into a shootout. Problem with the story was there was a lot of things that just didn't sit right. And the more I researched into it, the more I saw that this was just a fake story. Now, this is Officer Brian Johnson. He's a Millis police officer. He was a rookie. And on September 3rd, the reports came out that he was in a high-speed chase and shootout with a pickup truck. And the guy in the pickup truck just opened fire on his car, causing him to crash and his car to set on fire. Now, as soon as this happened, the news reports started to come out. And that's when things kind of started getting weird. Listen to this.
At 5 o'clock tonight with breaking news, and you are looking live in Millis. An intense manhunt is heavily underway right now. Armed police officers searching for a suspect. They say opened fire on an officer in his patrol car. Tonight we don't know if that officer was hurt, but we do know the cruiser was hit. It crashed and it caught on fire.
Investigators do have a suspect in mind. Let's get to News Center 5's Jack Harper live in Millis with more on the manhunt. Jack?
Right here at the corner of Forest Street, and that's where it happened, further down Forest Street. I want to bring in Mike O'Neill. Mike was over in his yard, actually, when they went by him, and it was clear to you, Mike, that that cruiser was after this pickup truck. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. The truck was really flying. The cruiser was right behind him. He had the lights flashing, the siren blaring. The truck was like in the middle of the road trying to, prevent the cruiser from overtaking him.
When you saw them, they blew through this intersection.
Yeah, this is a real dangerous intersection. They went flying through here.
Yeah, they did, and then it ended up, thank you, Mike, very much.
Now, remember this witness Mike here just described the high-speed chase and flying through intersections and everything else. Remember that for later.
Up down the street a little bit, that's where someone involved with that truck, apparently in the truck, got out and fired at this police cruiser. The cruiser was hit twice, we are told, and as you heard earlier, the patrolman then veered off the road. He was not seriously injured, we're told initially, but we don't have anything officially from the police department. Now, this started, it appears, over at the school, the high school area, where some students and others noticed this truck going round and round the school. Two of the students actually talked with us a little while ago. Bridget Horrigan and Megan, her sister, are both at the high school.
Now, really pay attention to the testimony of these two sisters and notice how similar it sounds to our boy Mike that we just heard. And remember this for the end of the video.
Noticed the maroon truck that they're looking for. Two males, probably like early 30s, one with dark facial hair, were circling around our school, and they were like stopping and going and positioning themselves, looking at the top of our building, like pointing out the windows. And we didn't think anything of it, like we weren't suspicious of it. We thought they were just maintenance. And then probably like 45 minutes after, we were told that we couldn't go outside today, and that's when the police started to show up. Later on, the police came and told us that we were in lockdown. We couldn't go outside. We had to stay in our rooms. And then we come home from school today, and the school was evacuated, we find out, and then this is happening. So now we're kind of putting pieces together and figuring out that that truck was the one that they're looking for, and it was the one that at our school today that we saw.
Now, these two just described suspects in a truck. They described their facial hair. They described the truck as being maroon. They had great detail on what they saw. Now remember that.
And since then, there's been nothing but police all over the place. You can see another trooper going in now. This street obviously has been a focal point of the investigation, and we have SWAT teams everywhere, helicopters in the air. No arrests have been made. We're not sure if they're looking for two people or one, but we know at least one, and the active scene here in Millis continues. I'm Jack Harper, WCVB5.
Now, on the surface, that just looks like a story of a rookie cop having a bad day at the office and got away lucky with his life. That until this happened. And when this headline dropped, things just started going downhill for this whole story.
Afternoon, I'm J.C. Monahan. We are breaking into regular programming to bring you this press conference from Millis regarding the potential shooting at a police cruiser with an officer inside yesterday. Let's hear what he has to say.
Yesterday afternoon, members of the Millis Police Department, along with police from surrounding towns and the state police, responded to Forest Road for the reports of shots being fired into a Millis police cruiser being operated by a part-time town officer, or what is called a permanent intermittent officer. The cruiser then went off the road and caught on fire. Over the next several hours, numerous officers, troopers, K-9 units, and a state police helicopter conducted an intensive search for the reported suspect. Neither the suspect nor the vehicle he was said to be driving was found. An extensive search for ballistic evidence at and around the scene was also conducted. As a result of that search, the only ballistic evidence recovered was that belonging to the part-time officer. Additionally, several interviews were conducted with this officer. Upon conclusion of these interviews, and as a result of all other evidence, we have determined that the officer's story was fabricated. Specifically, that he fired shots at his own cruiser as part of a plan to concoct a story that he was fired upon. The evidence indicates that the shots were not fired by a suspect, and there is no gunman at large in or around the town. The Millis Police will work with the Norfolk District Attorney's Office and the state police unit assigned to that office to determine what criminal charges the officer will face. The officer in question was a dispatcher for the department and was hired as a permanent intermittent officer this past June. He was scheduled to begin training to become a full-time officer soon. He will be terminated from the department.
So now that we know that whole story was fabricated and the cop made everything up, he shot his own cruiser, he set it on fire, we need to ask ourselves a question. Is that the story here? Is the story that a cop made up a story? Or is the real story here that a mainstream news outlet helped fabricate a story? Let's go back and look at this for a second.
When it was clear to you, Mike, that cruiser was after this pickup truck, is that correct?
Oh yeah, the truck was really flying. The cruiser was right behind him. He had the lights flashing, the siren blaring. The truck was like in the middle of the road trying to, prevent the cruiser from overtaking him.
When you saw them, they blew through this intersection.
Yeah, this is a real dangerous intersection. They went flying through here.
Yeah, they did, and
now
then it ended up, thank you, Mike.
This whole story Mike's telling is bullshit because the cop made the story up. So there's no way Mike saw what he claimed he saw. At this point, the only person that knows his story is the cop who invented it. Now, how does the news reporter know these details that he's obviously feeding our boy Mike here? Is Mike an actor? Is this reporter an actor? But let's get to the sisters, because the sisters had a lot of detail that they wanted to go into.
Two males, probably like early 30s, one with dark facial hair, were circling around our school, and they were like stopping and going and positioning themselves, looking at the top of our building, like pointing out the windows. And we didn't think anything of it, like we weren't suspicious of it. We thought they were just maintenance. And then probably like 45 minutes after, we were told that we couldn't go outside today, and that's when the police started to show up. Later on, the police came and told us that we were in lockdown. We couldn't go outside. We had to stay in our rooms. And then we come home from school today, and the school was evacuated, we find out, and then this is happening. So now we're kind of putting pieces together and figuring out that truck was the one that they're looking for, and it was the one at our school today that we saw.
Now, she just said the story that the school said that they saw. What is up with these sisters and where are they getting their info from? They just gave you so much detail on these people they saw in the car. It's like, we all know this dude made it up. It's not true. Now, if we could interview him, that would be cool. But he mysteriously was found dead. So there's no way of getting any type of interview or story from this dude, or even getting this dude's side of the story. Like, none of this makes any sense. And this whole newscast makes no sense. How did they get any of the information if the cop himself made it up? They should have no details of the stuff they claimed that they saw. And I think that's where we're going to leave this one off today. Let me know what you guys think about this story in the comment section. And let me know what you think about the series. Do you like hearing about stuff like this? Does this interest you? And if it does, let me know if you got a story you want me to cover. And, like always, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.